I think this season, man, isn't a success merely if they make the playoffs. There's a real Mike Tomlin, Mike Sullivan thing going on right now. Where, like, if they make it, oh, Mike, way to go. He kept them in the fight. They are in the hunt. Look at this. I'll tell you what does make the season, without question in my mind, a success. If they make it and they play the Rangers in the first round and beat them.
Oh, yeah.
If they beat the Rangers.
For sure.
Whatever happens after that, like, this team was never going to win a Stanley Cup. Even when they got Carlson, you didn't have people lining up saying they were going to hoist the cup again. They were going to try to give themselves a chance. You're going to make the most out of a weird contract situation that this team has, and it just is what it is. But if you win a first-round series against the now-hated New York Rangers, everything after that for me doesn't mean you're not going to root for them. Doesn't mean stuff can't happen, but everything after that for me is gravy.
I mean, I don't know how it would play out if they did beat the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs, but that would really, really give them a serious chance. Though.
Give them juice.
I had to tell you, like, I would think I'm with you. Like, that would be a successful season if they were to beat the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs. But if they beat the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs, I'm not putting anything out.
Well, then, because you're probably playing Carolina after that and Jake Gensel, and that would be unreal.
Yeah, some type of motivation there.
No doubt. And it's not to say that they couldn't beat Carolina. In fact, like, I would like to see Carolina in the first round. Like, I think the Rangers would be tougher to beat, and it's still possible mathematically. Like, Boston and New York are jockeying for position atop the conference, and Boston is, I think, as I look at the standings here, they're 3 points back, I want to say, for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. The Bruins are. Yeah, the Bruins have 107. The Rangers have 110. So if Boston catches New York, then the Penguins, if they're in the second wild card, would play Boston. If the Penguins were to get into the third spot in the Metro, they'd play Carolina. If the standings stay the way they are now, but the Penguins wind up getting in the final wild card, they would play the Rangers. So there's a lot of different ways this could go. There are 3 teams that they could play. I'd rather play Carolina because I think they could beat Carolina in 7 games. The teams are similar as far as I'm concerned. Carolina has 105 points. They've been the better team all year, but both teams have struggled to score. They've both controlled the puck, but the Hurricanes have struggled to score. If you beat the Rangers in round 1, though, you'd get them back for a few years ago. You would beat a hated rival. And I think you can all throw your hands up and say that's a pretty good season for these Penguins, especially where they were to where they got.
Where they started and even where they were at in the middle of the seaon, and just even with the whole fiasco of having to trade Jake Gensel and just somebody that was such a focal point in your franchise for so long. I mean, for them to pull this out and to play the way they are now, I mean, you got to give Sullivan credit. I mean, we were calling for his head for a while. But if they do make it to the playoffs and they do beat the Rangers in the first round, if they don't play the Rangers, if they play somebody else and they win the first round of the playoffs, I mean, that's absolutely a successful hockey season.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Texter, they have no chance against the Rangers. Well, they just beat them the other night.
Right.
They beat them the other night. I think the first round is the hardest round to win. I think the Penguins have shown that throughout the Crosby-Malkin era. It's a totally different animal. It's hard.
They'd be dogs, though, this time.
They would be dogs.
We talked about this on Friday.
They would. So all the expectations would be on New York. Not a lot of expectations would be on the Penguins. When you'd click on ESPN or Sportsnet Canada or wherever, and they'd give their predictions and they'd have the graphics up there, everyone would be looking blue. Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of teams would pick, or a lot of people would pick the Penguins to win that series. And yet New York would be a worthy favorite. There's no doubt about that. But of course they have a chance. Of course they have a chance. What I'm wondering is this now the team that nobody wants to face, these Penguins? And we asked that question with the Steelers, and we kind of did it with our tongue in our cheek. It's different with these Penguins.
Yeah, because they have players that know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Steelers, it's like, okay, you're riding a hot hand with Mason Rudolph, but you look around the Steelers roster, maybe their linebacker was the only one that's ever won a championship, which is Landon Roberts. You're not worried about him. Great player. I'm not trying to slight him, but you're not worried about him.
Mason Rudolph.
I mean, Najee, like with the Penguin team, if they catch momentum, which they are right now, and they're hot, they also know and have been there before, at least their core has. That is scary. That's very, very scary if I was another opposing team.
And goaltending matters.
And that matters too.
And I would say that New York has a goaltending advantage when you think about the career arc of a Shesterkin. But who's playing the greatest hockey right now in the world? It's Nedeljkovic, baby. 6-0-2 with a .917 save percentage. Look, no one thought the Panthers last year were going to go to the Cup final. And they did. They barely slid in. They upset Boston. They go on this miracle run. Then you think about Vegas, and they were good enough to win the championship. Nobody was doubting that going into the playoffs. But what was the goaltending situation going to look like? And Aiden Hill comes in and stole the show. Why can Nedeljkovic not be that guy? Again, we're not even talking about going on a run. We're just talking about winning a first-round series. I'll tell you, if they played Boston, I would agree with the texter and say, yeah, I don't feel good about it at all. If it's New York, they got a shot. If it's Carolina, I'd go 55-45 Carolina, but that's a high % chance the Penguins to pull that thing off.
It's a new game.
It is. And they're believing in themselves. Oh. And here's the deal, man. The lineup looks more right now with the way guys are playing like a legitimate lineup. Lars Eller's playing great at 3C.
Yep.
And that third line has been chipping in and helping. The second line, Bunting has unlocked something in Gino, or vice versa. Or maybe Gino's always had it and he's been playing with crap line mates. We talked about that before. Bunting's reminding me of Hornquist right now. Not that he's the same guy, but he's a little bit different than Jake. Jake was always going to go to the dirty areas, but Jake is diminutive. Bunting's going to dish it out, too. And he's got that sandpaper. And I think that's been really key in Malkin. And then Drew O'Connor's kind of come into his own playing alongside Sidney Crosby. So your top six all of a sudden looks formidable. Your third line now looks like it's able to contribute, and they play good defensively. And you've got a goaltender that's playing at the top of his game. So don't tell me that they'd get smoked by the Rangers. I just don't see it that way. They might not win the series, but I think they'd push it. It wouldn't be a 4 or 5 game series.
No, it wouldn't be in and out.
Yeah.